Good evening, everyone. Ads here from Unity Trading Group. Hope you all had a wonderful weekend after some volatility on BTC. As always, if you liked the video, like this video, subscribe to the channel. It helps us out a lot. Share with anybody you think will find some value in this, in everything we do. All of our links are down below in the description. But without further ado, BTC, after really testing and breaking through that level of demand that we saw late last week, we've found it's had a little bit of a knee-jerk reaction or an immediate reaction to that drop, with a little bit of a retracement wall, a decent retracement as it stands at the given time. So I was having this discussion with one of the guys in the Discord, and we were really discussing what we really thought it's going to do from here. So the first immediate thing that I think of when I see a drop like this and we do start to create a lower low scenario is that we're looking for a lower high in terms of the retracement that it's forming now. And what I mean by that is we've had higher high, higher high, higher high, okay? And now we've had a lower low scenario where we've broken the previous's, two of the subsequent previous lower highs. So it's really a change in market structure. It's a change in market direction. What do I think is going to happen? More than likely, look, it comes with a little bit of my reserve sentiment in this sort of discussion. However, I'll be probably looking for a lower high to form. So we've got higher highs and higher lows on the left side, and now we've got a lower low and now a lower high forming on this side of the level of demand at just underneath underneath 19k. So it's going to be an interesting time over the course of the next couple of days. Even tonight, we might find we'll have some sort of answer as to, are we going to get rejected on this 78.6 Fibonacci retracement, or are we going to push back up to our level of supply, even retest that level for a second time, first one and obviously second one, if we're going to give that another go. So it really comes down to this as well in terms of the volume. So we've had decent amounts of volume into BTC over the course of the last couple of months, and we did have a really high volume spike when we did push down from that level of supply, from this 19k to around this 16,000, 16.5 area, even 16.2 we got down to. So it really comes down to if we're going to see some of this sort of volume again to really push us past this 20k, because it's obvious to me that we do need some of this volume to really push us back up to this 20,000 level or this 19.5 level before we see this supply really fall and we continue and make higher highs. So that's not going to happen straight away if we don't have the volume come back into this market. And it's not looking like we're getting some volume we've gotten any volume over the course of this retracement. So this movement from 16.2 to around this, where we are now at 18.5, we haven't really had a decent volume spike or a decent run with any sort of volume. It's just been decreasing ever so slowly on the 4-hour time frame, and of course the daily time frame. So the daily time frame really tells a very interesting story, because we've seen this daily level of supply fall, and we've come back and sort of nearly gotten to that 16k level of demand, but we're not just yet there. It is the first time that we're observing the level, the steamroller indicator, come out of that overbought area and give us a little bit of a breather, as of course the RSI and the CCI is back into the middle bands and the middle zone, and the RSI hasn't yet reached that 50 median area either on that. And the 50 median area is really an area that we look for the RSI to hold as support and use as resistance on the opposite side as well. So it's something that we haven't tested yet, and we haven't seen the RSI be down that far since around the 7th of October, and we are now about to go into December. So it's been quite some time. What does this mean? Well, honestly, it means it's still relatively overbought, as described by our steamroller indicator on the bottom there. We're still in the exhausted bands, and we are just teetering below that overbought area now. So we are still very much in that overbought territory, and we could expect some more downwards momentum for BTC. Off that lower low, and making a lower high here if we do get that momentum. I'm not saying that we are going to head down straight away from here and it's 100% guaranteed. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm really referring to is a lower high scenario. And if we do get the momentum that I was referring to earlier to push us up and past and make some higher highs again, that would be a decent retracement back up to the scene of the crime for BTC. And then, of course, we'd be looking for targets or areas of interest above where we are now in terms of that 127 Fibonacci extension that we see observed at 2389 would be the area that I would look towards pretty much immediately from the swing high to the swing low down the bottom here. But yeah, that really concludes my thoughts for BTC. I would love to know what you think also. Leave a comment down below on YouTube, or even get involved with our Discord. Of course, that link is down below in the description also. Come in, say hi in the general chat, and share some of your thoughts. We're really happy to hear what everyone thinks about BTC and what's going to eventuate over the next probably couple of days towards the end of the week as well. So it's going to be an interesting one. We've been pretty decent. It's been pretty decent in the way of this retrace so far, and it hasn't taken that long to play out. So it's going to be probably sooner rather than later. We're going to see a answer to this question that we're asking. Moving on, however, as always, we'll look at ETH/USD. ETH/USD in the exact same position as BTC, pretty much identical. But the only difference here is that our supply was very well respected, even more so than what BTC was. But off that drop from the initial movement on Bitcoin, we did see Ethereum move in the same sort of fashion, and of course moved through that level of demand after testing it the first time, and shooting towards the bottom one, or the one lower at around this 480 mark, and we didn't quite get there. However, Ethereum telling a little bit of a different story in the way of what our indicators are saying is we are getting towards that overbought area on this 4-hour time frame a little bit earlier than we are seeing on Bitcoin, and that could be an indication of what is to come if we are to see that lower high form on BTC and ETH, of course, because Ethereum moves in a very similar fashion as BTC. So that could be an area that we look at. If I want to draw in just one thing, I'll draw in a very short-term level of resistance then. I'm looking towards this area here, and of course there is a very short-term area of supply there also, looking at that candle where we push down through this price action here. This is where we find ourselves now. I'll take that last line out. I'll leave this one in. This is a decent area of resistance for Ethereum, and we are seeing that come to fruition right now. So if I delete these areas, it really tells a little bit of a better story on where Ethereum could go. So we've got this area of resistance here at 590, and of course that area just above us at 600 is that round psychological resistance number there. And of course, if we're provisioning for that lower high scenario, we've made our lower low, and our lower high could come to fruition at about that 590, 600 area, if not that level of supply just up the top here. And of course, we could see some further movements back down to, of course, this level to begin with, which is our 520, 500 area. And, pending that, we could see some more movements towards the 480. But I'm not calling this straight away. We are waiting for a little bit more info, and of course, some more candles to be printed over the course of this evening and into tomorrow. And that really holds true for BTC and, of course, Ethereum as well. The last one that I'll look at this evening is the DXY, and it has been really predictable. Excuse me one sec. It has been really predictable because the bias has been to the downside, and of course that hasn't changed for the last little bit. We are seeing the DXY now move into that oversold condition on Steamroller, and it has been in the past very, very accurate in calling when this should reverse, even just for a little bit of relief. So in this instance, I'd be looking towards that 0 Fibonacci, around that 92.50, or even that 27 fib extension for a little bit of a bounce for the DXY, just for the immediate term, to really give us a decision on, are we going to hold this level at this demand, or are we going to move past it and continue down to our 91 even point level for the DXY? That would be a catastrophic movement to the downside for the US dollar. And rightfully so. When I say catastrophic, if I move to the daily time frame and zoom out just a little bit, you can see the actual momentum that the DXY has had as of late. And we've actually moved down from 103 all the way down to 91.6 where we sit now. So that's been a movement that's been quite substantial for quite some time, and we've been really following this for the entirety of this movement. I remember drawing these levels of supply and saying that we'll probably not break this and continue to the downside, and that's what has happened over the course of the last few months, into the end of this year. So it's been quite predictable, and of course that's been fueled by the situation over in the US, the elections, bits and pieces along the way, and of course the COVID-19 global situation at the moment hasn't helped in the slightest. So what I think now, just in the immediate term, we've been following this play by play on the 4 hour, of course, but in the immediate term I do expect a little bit of relief, even just to the negative 27.2, and of course if we get it, we can see it up at the 00 fibs at 92.20. That would be the more fair and the best area that I would think it would retest. Of course, we've got a lot of liquidity to the left to really support that also. The last one I want to have a look at tonight is the All Ordinaries and the SPX 500 USD. So of the first trading day in the week for the All Ords, we've seen it push down from our open, and of course from our close last week at 68.93. We've been observing this move down to really come down and give us some formal relief for the All Ords, and Steamroller absolutely pinpoint accurate for the All Ordinary. So if you're not involved with Steamroller, you can always find it at www.unitytradinggroup.com. We do a 10-day free trial for Steamroller. So if you want to get involved in that, the link is also in the description. But for the All Ords, I'd really be expecting it to come down and retest, and not retest, but come down and give us some relief down at this 66.50 area for the All Ordinaries. And I love doing this live because it really shows the power and the potential of our levels of supply and demand. So we're looking at this 66.50 area for the All Ordinaries over the next few days. We'll revisit this tomorrow night, of course, during our live session. And of course the SPX 500, we'll look at this on a daily time frame, and really sitting in the same boat. The All Ords really is loosely correlated, well, not loosely, but it is correlated with the SPX. So we do see these two markets move in a similar fashion, and of course we are seeing that movement to the downside for the S&P 500 index, or the SPX I like to call it. But we are moving towards that level now of demand with the S&P also, and I would place that demand. There are two areas that I'm looking at, one of which is this one here. And of course, actually I'll leave that one there, and I'd probably expect it to come down to that level over the next few days course of this, or during the course of this week. We'll obviously revisit this tomorrow night also, and see where this ends up after the session for tonight. So that really concludes our update for tonight. Obviously, the regulated stuff, this is not financial advice, just ideas and opinions of Team UTG. If you want to get involved, our links are down below in the description. Like the video, give us a subscribe if you can, helps us out a lot, and share this video if you find it interesting and you think anyone else will find it interesting also, and of course get some value out of it. But I'm Ads from UTG, and I'll see you tomorrow night.